MAGA Republicans were expertly trolled and exposed by freshman Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz during a rare public hearing of the failed sham Biden impeachment inquiry, and it was glorious. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, we have a couple of clips to look at in this video, and there's a single protagonist in all of them, and that is freshman Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida. He's one of my favorite Democrats in the House of Representatives. He's incisive, he's hilarious, he's combative. As a matter of fact, as we've discussed in previous videos, Moskowitz is actually encouraging his fellow Democrats to start throwing the proverbial elbow at MAGA Republicans. He's like, listen, if they're going to engage in theatrics, we should do it too, because we're actually better at it if we want to be. And Moskowitz is a great example. He's funnier than they are. He's cleverer than they are. And earlier today, MAGA Republicans held a very rare public hearing regarding the failed Biden impeachment inquiry. And as Jared Moskowitz was heading into the hearing room, he wore a costume, which is very relevant. And for context, one of the key Republican witnesses in their witch hunt against the president is a guy named Alexander Smirnov, who lied to the FBI saying that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were each paid $5 million by a Ukrainian energy company to influence foreign policy in a way that would protect them. Smirnov has since been indicted by the Justice Department for lying to the FBI in terms of those unverified allegations. And there's credible evidence to suggest that he was actually regurgitating, Smirnov that is, in propaganda and misinformation from Russia. So with that in mind, this is what Jared Moskowitz decided to do as he headed into the impeachment hearing room. He put on a mask of Vladimir Putin.
Congressman, can you explain what you're wearing? I just came to thank James Comer for taking all of our intelligence and using it in the committee. Maybe he can come see the technology in our grocery stores. Thank you.
Congressman, do you think his behavior is kind of immature?
Hilarious. So that last line there, too, maybe he can see the technology in our grocery store. That was a shot at Tucker Carlson, who was just in awe of Russian grocery stores apparently having a receptacle where you can feed it a quarter, you get a cart, and then if you want your quarter back, you have to drop the cart back off from whence it came, which is something you can find at Aldi's here in the United States. I digress. But yeah, so Moskowitz was making fun of James Comer for effectively regurgitating Russian disinformation on behalf of a Russian autocrat, a guy with fascistic impulses, an adversary of the United States. And he was making fun of Tucker Carlson, which is great. And then that reporter saying, don't you think this is immature? No, what's immature is Marjorie Taylor Greene sharing pornographic images of the president's son in a committee hearing in the halls of Congress. That's infinitely more immature than Moskowitz making fun of them because they factually regurgitated Russian disinformation. That was a choice made by MAGA Republican politicians. He's not going after their loved ones, their family members, or even witnesses. He's making fun of Republicans. So again, people can clutch their pearls all they want, but Moskowitz simply objectively has the moral high ground here. Now let's get into the hearing itself. Moskowitz is very, very good at baiting and manipulating and sparring with MAGA Republicans who are much too stupid to engage with him on equal footing. We're going to play this clip. It's about 2 minutes. And towards the end here, what Moskowitz does is he baits them into falling for a just devastating trap in front of the American people.
Chairman has not yet moved for that. And so, look, Chairman, we got like 3.5 minutes here. I mean, let's just do the impeachment. I mean, why continue to waste millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money if we're going to impeach because you believe you've shown he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor? What are you waiting on? Let's just do it. I mean, by the way, we got Chairman Jordan here also, the double chairman. Why aren't you guys calling for the vote in your committee? When is it going to happen? When can we tell the American people you're going to stop wasting their money and just call for the vote on impeachment?
Gentlemen, Gentlemen, you?
Sure.
We don't do snap impeachments like you guys. We actually do the facts. We do oversight according to the Constitution.
So the person who's talking, by the way, is House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan. just for context.
We're going to call for it. You're never going to call for it. I mean,
now you can predict. You can predict the future. How do you know?
You guys only have 6 more months probably in power, right, until the election. So are you going to do it in 2 months? You're going to do it in 3 months? Like, tell the American people.
Does the Constitution put a time limit on oversight?
So
I don't think I didn't read that in the Constitution.
If you believe you can't call for the impeachment now, then what you're admitting is you haven't yet proven that he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor. You haven't proven it yet. Otherwise, you would call for it, I assume.
We're doing our work.
Okay, so they haven't proven it. Right? They haven't proven he committed a high crime and misdemeanor. Otherwise, we would call for impeachment. So look, the chairman knows me well. I mean, I'm just here to help him, right? And so I just think we should do it today. Let's just call for it. I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I want to help you out. You can second it, right? Like, make the motion to impeach President Biden. Go ahead. It's your turn. You second it. No, nothing. Okay, we got nothing. So I want to, with my last couple minutes, show the American people that they're never going to impeach Joe Biden. It's never going to happen because they don't have the evidence. Okay, this is a show. It's all fake. They just want to do these hearings. It's not leading to impeachment. They're lying to their base on Newsmax and Fox, leading these people to believe that they're going to eventually impeach the president. It's not going to happen at all, ever, period. They don't even have the votes, even if they had it in committee. They don't have the votes on the floor.
Even though, as we've discussed in a previous video, Republicans are still technically in the majority. So every single Republican, every single one is incentivized to have Joe Biden lose re-election, right? They are politically incentivized to hurt Joe Biden. So if the evidence was there, if there was a credible accusation and evidence of an impeachable offense, then the Republicans have the numbers to pass an impeachment vote on the floor. But Moskowitz is right. All the reporting for months now has suggested that there are numerous Republicans who would not vote to impeach the president, which means they don't have compelling evidence. It's so hilarious. And for Moskowitz to bait them and to make this case to the American people, listen, they say they have the evidence. They said they've made their case. Well, then why aren't they calling for a vote? Well, it's because they don't have the evidence. Right? So he just completely exposed them in front of the American people by daring them to do that which they probably never will. And reporting suggests that other Republicans dread they might even try. That's how weak their case is. Afterwards, Moskowitz went on CNN to explain all of that to Wolf Blitzer.
I was trying to show that there's not going to be an impeachment, right? We've been at this for 15 months, right? If they believe that the president has committed a high crime and misdemeanor and they've proven that, then they would call for the vote. If they haven't called for the vote, then that would mean, obviously, that they haven't proven that, which is why it would continue. But it's never going to happen, Wolf. They know they don't have the votes. They're unfortunately just, giving, red meat to the base on this, and they're not being truthful. They don't even have the votes. Republicans here, a number of them don't want to vote for impeachment, and they only have a 2-vote majority. And so now they're inviting Joe Biden, more political theater, which is why I wore the mask, because if I'm going to be in theater, I might as well dress up. And so, it's just a shame that this is what we're wasting taxpayer money on, rather than solving the problems with Ukraine and Israel, rather than trying to help the American people bring down the cost of living. This is what the 118th Congress has decided to spend their time on after, of course, they've removed their speaker and impeached the cabinet secretary. I was trying to show that.
There you have it. I mean, again, just a brilliantly laid trap that once again James Comer and Jim Jordan just waltz blindly into because they don't know any better. They're stupid. They're genuinely stupid. Comer and Jordan. And the merits of this impeachment are non-existent. We've talked about this time and time again. The polling on it is dismal. The fact that their own fact witnesses, including a legal expert, Jonathan Turley, who has never found a Republican position that he won't desperately try to bend over backwards to accommodate, even he says that Republicans have failed to meet their burden. This is just a dead letter. Okay, and Moskowitz is right to do what he's doing, to make a mockery of it, to belittle and disdain the Republican politicians pushing this thing at a time when we should be delivering results for the American people. That's what is correct here. Moskowitz is absolutely correct to do it this way, to not play by the usual rules of decorum, to do everything in his power to make the Republicans feel small. It's a fascistic cult of personality, and that's the very last thing that they want to feel. And so he's right to push this. Let me know what you think in the comments.